We built a multi-million-dollar Airbnb portfolio using other people's money to buy off-market deals, and it's all because we invested early and often into building our network.
And today we're going to give you the secret weapon to building our network.
We are the Real Estate Robinsons.
Hey everyone, if this is your first time here, I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we are real estate investors who quit our day jobs by investing in short-term rentals, and we're here to show you how to do the same.
So look, today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get enough love in the world of real estate investing, and that's networking. So some of you may know my story, but I lost my job back in December 2020, and it was literally our network that saved us and allowed our business to scale. Like, we didn't have any active income because she wasn't working. I just got let go. So we weren't bankable. We couldn't go out and get loans. We had to save a little bit of money that we did have to kind of fund our life. So it was literally our network that allowed us to continue to scale our business in what would have been like a really scary time for most people.
Yeah. So in today's video, we're going to share first how networking helped us, and second, the fastest way for you to build your own network, and third, how to get the most out of the network that you do build.
So networking has literally been the secret weapon in scaling our business. Now, we bought our first Airbnb back in 2020, and we've scaled to about 30 properties since then. And the majority of our Airbnbs have been purchased off market and without any of our own capital. And that's only because we were able to tap into this network that we built.
So basically, our entire multi-million-dollar Airbnb portfolio is built on the back of our ability to network. So super excited to share all of that with you guys today.
We use our network to help us find new markets to invest in. For example, we recently purchased a property in West Virginia. And the only reason I knew to look there was because a friend of mine bought in that city. Yeah. And then funny enough, the deal that we found also came from networking.
And that's been the case for us several times. People always ask, how do you guys choose your market? And obviously there's research that goes into it, but more often than not, it's been our network that's led us to these markets, just like Tony explained. So Tennessee, Missouri, and West Virginia were all markets that other people told us about.
Now, not only do we decide which cities to invest in based on our network, but we also get sent off-market deals through our network as well. Like I mentioned, that property in West Virginia came from our network.
Right.
We just closed on a cabin in the Smoky Mountains with an indoor pool that we got an incredible price on, like a stupid good price on, and that property also came from our network.
Shout out to Alex Savio. We were using 100% of our own capital, but now pretty much all of our deals are funded using other people's money, and those other people come from our network.
Now, when you put those three pieces together, finding markets, finding deals, and funding purchases, that's how we scaled so quickly. And the good news is you can literally copy the same things that we've done to build our network to help you build your own network.
And one last way that networking has helped us is with the actual operations of our Airbnb business. We always pick up new strategies from our friends who are also Airbnb hosts. Like literally every time we talk to other hosts, we take something away and implement it into our own operations.
Like most recently, we added the role of property inspector, which is a position that's 100% dedicated to inspecting the work that's completed by our cleaners to triple check that properties are totally guest ready. It's been a game changer for us to have one person solely dedicated to making sure we're getting 5 stars for cleanliness. And again, this idea came from someone in our network.
Shout out to Sarah and Annette.
Shout out to Sarah and Annette, TFE.
So networking has been major for us, you guys, both in terms of business growth and how efficiently we're able to run our properties.
Now, look, you might see us and think, well,
duh, you guys have a big network. You guys are the Real Estate Robinsons.
You've got tons of followers on social media, and you've got this YouTube channel and podcasts and your events. It's easy for Tony and Sarah to have a network. And while that's true that we have, probably a bigger reach than most people today, when we first started, we didn't know anyone.
Yeah. We had like 1,000 followers.
Yeah. And it was like friends and family, right? And we were just like most of you who are watching this video. No one in our families were real estate investors. Are real estate investors. No one was there to like show us the ropes and try and help us figure out this whole real estate investing.
Right. It literally felt like we were on an island by ourselves. Don't you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Very sad, but exciting. No one knew who we were. No one cared to send us deals. No one cared to fund our deals. No one cared to partner with us, and so on, right? And that's how most people start. That's how we started. That's probably where you're at right now, right? And that's totally okay. because the whole purpose of this video is to not only show you the impact of having a network, but to show you how to create the network.
And really what we want to show you is how you can create a win-win relationship with the people in your network to help you scale your own Airbnb business.
But before we keep moving, we'd really appreciate if you could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell for notifications. Every new subscriber really does mean a lot to us, and we have a goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're enjoying our content, please subscribe, please share.
We tried to get to 50K last year. We failed miserably. So
Yes.
100K is a new goal. Help us get there. We've also got an event coming up. It's called the STR Summit, and it's a 3-day in-person event focused all on teaching you how to buy, manage, and scale your short-term rental portfolio, which honestly ties in perfectly to the topic of today's video. So at the STR Summit, we'll walk you through all the steps you need to follow to get started. And we have so many good speakers lined up to bring you even more value. And like this video, you'll get to network with a room full of other hungry investors who are all focused on building their own Airbnb business.
The event is in Austin, Texas from April 10th through the 12th. If you want to learn more about the event, head over to strsummit.com. And if you use the promo code YouTube, you'll save $100 off of your ticket.
So this leads us to our next point, right? Let's talk about the absolute fastest way to build your network as a real estate investor. Now, joining online groups is cool, but it takes time to build relationships in those groups. And going to local meetups are great, but those are free events, and the kind of level of commitment of the people at those events is going to vary pretty wildly.
So because of that, we believe 100% the best way to build your network as a new real estate investor is to attend real estate conferences. Not only will you be surrounded by tons of other investors, both new and experienced, but you'll be able to spend 2 to 3 days, sometimes even more depending on the conference, with a group of people who are just as committed to the same goals that you have.
Let's talk through the big reasons why real estate conferences are the best way to build your network. Now, first, everyone invested both time and money to be there, right? People bought tickets to actually attend the event. They maybe bought airline tickets to get there. They paid for a hotel. So they invested a bunch of money. They took time off of work, and maybe they had to find a babysitter for their kids or for their pets.
Yeah.
The point is, if someone is willing to go through all of that to come to an event, then there's a good chance that this person is super committed to taking action. And that's the kind of person that you want in your network.
The second big reason why real estate conferences are the best for networking is because you're with the same group of people for multiple days. So not only do you get to spend time with each person during the actual sessions, but there are breaks and lunches during the day that gives you the time to really, truly network and become besties.
And honestly, the most impactful time is in the evenings after the sessions are over.
Yeah.
Right. Either going to those mixers that are associated with the event, or maybe just reaching out to someone that you met during the day and grabbing a bite or a drink with them. Like, that's where the real relationships are formed.
So you guys, I've talked about this a million times, but seriously, going to in-person like real estate conferences truly changed my life. Like Tony was always into real estate and would talk about it to me, make me listen to podcasts and stuff. And I just truly did not care. And it wasn't until I attended my first conference. Do you know which one it was? I think it was BPCon, I want to say. I'm not sure. It was a smaller one, right? But anyways, I attended and it was like a light bulb went off for me. And I think it was because just like we said, I was in a room with these super motivated people that were either wanting to do what Tony's been in my ear talking about, or were already doing it. And I was talking to them like, girl, are you making how much? Are you doing what? You work for yourself? So hearing this over and over and over for 2.5 days just lit something inside of me. And I was like, I can do this too. So I'm a firm believer in that. And we hear so many times from people that have attended our events, like our STR Summit, that they form like this really cool bond with each other. So for instance, we have my girl Libby and Natalie that have attended our STR Summit in Newport. They are so freaking cute and have formed this badass, like all girls
Taco
Tuesday posse that I think they meet like on a bi-weekly cadence, maybe monthly, weekly, I'm not sure, but they meet for Taco freaking Tuesday. They're all women in the STR space, and they formed this connection from this event, and now they're just like real estate besties. So it just goes to show like the true friendships and connections you can make at these kind of events.
And like, even for us, like, we're recording this video in March, so we're 3 months into the year, like barely 3 months into the year. And we've already been to our own STR Summit in Orlando. We went to Level Up Your Listing in Scottsdale. We went to Real Estate Mastermind in Maui. We're going to STR Wealth in
We
Nashville.
went to HostCon, Rob Built.
We went to HostCon. I forgot. I knew there was another one in January.
We are huge believers in going. Like, we're not just preaching it, we actually do it. We are like constantly going to conferences, like even if we're not speaking, like just to go learn and network. So we really love it.
So let's talk about what you should expect when you're at the real estate conference, right? When you go to an in-person event, if those events are set up and run the right way, you'll get a healthy dose of networking opportunities. So we'll kind of talk about how we run the STR Summit, but a lot of what we'll mention applies to most other
conferences,
big events as well.
So first, we always kick the event off with a fun welcome party. So I don't think we've ever been to a conference that doesn't have this, and it's a really good like icebreaker. So there's no speakers or sessions during the first night. The entire purpose is to get all of our attendees to loosen up, have a drink or two, and really just spend the evening getting to know each other. And by the end of that first night, there are so many new relationships that had been made with a little bit of liquor courage,
Now, most events have some sort of welcome party. And if you're like me, and maybe you're a bit of an introvert, then going to welcome parties can seem like more work than they're worth.
For sure.
But I promise you, if you go into it with the right attitude, you will be 100% glad that you actually went through it.
1,000%. The second day of the STR Summit is when the actual sessions begin. But even during the day, we're encouraging people to network during the breaks. And we always include different icebreakers to get people talking and interacting with each other. And at the end of the first day, we have an offsite mixer where people are able to keep the networking going. So we're truly forcing you guys to become best friends by the end of this.
Yeah. And for the third and final day, we have a private mixer for all of our VIPs where they get to network with other like VIPs plus all of our speakers and sponsors. So we just try and do as much as we can to kind of facilitate the networking. And like I said, most events are like that as well.
Right.
And we have other details throughout the event that help with networking. For example, all of our VIPs get to record these 30-second elevator pitches that get played throughout the event. That way they can share who they are, how they can help others, and in the ways that they need help from other people.
Yeah. So we really make sure that throughout the entire event, we're baking in networking opportunities for everybody, the introverts, extroverts, just everybody.
Yeah, so you really do get a good mix of like the more casual networking opportunities during the mixers, but then you also get more structured networking during the actual sessions when people are learning and in the conference room.
Right. So now that you understand what you should expect when you go to events like the STR Summit, let's talk about how to get the most value out of networking at real estate conferences.
First, and this is the most important, is to have a giving attitude. Yeah. Don't be the person that's just looking for networking opportunities that only benefit themselves. Really focus on trying to provide value to other people.
And really focus on trying to have meaningful conversations with people while you're at these kind of events. That's how you really build a win-win relationship, by focusing on giving value to others and really taking the time to get to know them, their business, their strategies, their goals.
Right? Like, why did they come to the event?
Right.
Why do they want to build a real estate business? What are their short-term goals? What are their long-term goals? How can you possibly support them in all of those goals they have?
Second, focus on the quality of connections, not quantity, right? So there's always that one person at the event whose sole purpose in being there is to hand out as many business cards as possible. And they're not even there to try to provide any value to anybody else. They're not even there to try to make any meaningful connections. They're literally just there to market themselves and pass out as many business cards as they can.
Yeah, and that's not cool, right? People can feel that type of
energy,
self-absorbed energy. And you'll never get the most out of an event if you go that route.
Right.
You'll get way more out of the STR Summit and any other real estate conferences you go to if you focus on creating a few real connections than you will by just trying to pass out 300 business cards.
The third way to get value from networking is to follow up after the event. So this is huge. The event is a great place to start your connection, but you've got to keep that relationship going once you get home. Here's a little trick that I like to do. So when I meet someone cool at an event, I'll take a selfie of the both of us, and then I'll save it to my photos with that person's contact card. That way I always remember their face. Then I'll shoot them a text after the event and say something like, "Hey Joe, it was so great meeting you at the STR Summit. I really enjoyed talking to you, and it was so cool how we both decided to become real estate investors so we can retire our husbands and we can be their sugar mamas, you know? Well, no, yeah, okay, yeah, you get what I'm saying. I'll send them the selfie that we took so they know who is texting them.
Now, depending on what you and that person talked about during the event, it might be worthwhile to maybe schedule like a follow-up call where you can chat a bit more, or maybe when the next real estate conference comes around, you shoot them a text and ask them if they're going to that one. Like, that's the one thing we've noticed, again, about the SCR Summit. There's like a group of people who keep attending our events, and I don't even think they're doing it anymore for the content per se, but it's because they built this community and they built these relationships with the other attendees, and the SCR Summit has kind of become their place to like keep that connection.
For sure. Yeah, like you make and have like real estate conference friends. You know, you have a best friend that you go to these events with because your spouse doesn't care to go, want to go, you know, so you form these friendships and just start attending other conferences with your new real estate conference bestie. And another pro tip on networking that I really love to do is always get each other's Instagram handles. Like, before you guys like end that conversation, walk away from each other. That's I feel like a more organic way, at least for me, to reach out to someone if I don't feel like texting them, is just connect with them on Instagram. I feel like a DM is so casual, liking their photos and just staying connected on Instagram is just a super easy, low like effort way to continue to grow that relationship outside of the conferences.
Yeah, even like Instagram's a great way to kind of get the attention of like maybe the speakers at the event as well.
Oh, for sure.
So like if you get good video of that person, you tag them, like maybe that's when they see you and they notice you, they respond to you. So yeah, I think being active on social, like at the event, is a great way to kind of build relationships too. Now, the last thing you might want to consider is having like a brief elevator pitch. Now, this works well if part of your motivation for coming to an event is to maybe find opportunities for joint ventures or find partners who have the capital to fund your deals. Yeah. You know, if you got like a really specific goal in mind, but there is a fine line here. Okay, you don't want to come off as salesy. Right? Remember, we said this earlier, you have to focus on creating a win-win kind of relationship with you and that other person. But a simple elevator pitch would be something like, hey, my name's Tony and I'm really good at finding off-market deals, they cash flow, and I usually partner with other investors and give them double-digit returns for helping me purchase those properties. Right? Like, super simple, super short.
I would have said yes. Let's be buddies.
I mean, we had someone at our last event who had his elevator pitch, and he was actually riding to the conference and ended up raising $400,000 in his Uber ride over there.
What?
Crazy.
I didn't hear that. Yeah. That's crazy. So cool.
Yeah, crazy stories. That's a quick and easy breakdown of kind of sharing who you are, and you kind of get the point across that you have a way of providing value to folks. So like in-person events are, like we said, super major. And the only reason that we started investing in short-term rentals was because of someone that I met at an in-person event. Alex Sabio, who's a good friend of mine and works with us in our coaching program now. And he's off buying hotels and stuff. So we both he went first and then kind of pulled us into the short-term rental space. So there would be no real estate Robinsons if it wasn't for someone that I met at an in-person event. So that's literally how much these kind of things can change your life.
I get that this might seem simple, but if you do this consistently, you're guaranteed to meet people who will change your life, and hopefully you'll be able to change their life as well, or someone else's. Something that's important to call out here is that you may be watching this video and the idea of walking into a room filled with people that you don't know makes you want to throw up or faint. And having a little bit of hesitation or fear around networking is something we've heard from like countless of people. We feel it too. I don't know, do you? Tony doesn't really, a little bit. I do though. Seriously, people think I'm an extrovert, but I am so uncomfortable, especially in the real estate world, because I'm like,
oh my God, like everyone's so much smarter than me.
Yeah. And it's normal, right?
For sure.
And if you feel that way, there's two things you should understand. First is you're not alone, right? Sarah saying she feels that way. And there are tons of people who feel the same way as you. So if you can accept that there are plenty of other people in the room who feel the same way, then there's less pressure on like yourself about feeling that way, right? Like the person that you're thinking of walking up to and like sparking up that conversation with is probably just as uncomfortable as you are in that situation.
And second, remember that everyone is there for the same purpose. They want to learn and they want to network. So it's not like you're doing something weird by showing up to this event or the welcome party by yourself and trying to strike up a conversation with other attendees. Like everyone is there for the same intentions.
Yeah. Well, one trick that I like to use when I walk into an event for the first time and, I don't know anyone there and I see people that are kind of in a circle, I just walk up to them and I say, hey, do you mind if I join you? I've literally never been told no. I've never walked into a group of people and say, hey, do you mind if I join you? And people look at me and are like, no, Tony, you can't, right? It's never happened. And I doubt it'll happen to you either. Now, this, it's a super simple question, but it's an easy way to break the ice within a group. And once you're in that circle with everyone else, a great follow-up question is, so tell me about your journey so far, right? It's an open-ended question. It's a really easy way to get the conversation flowing.
And one thing I like to do when I go into a room like this, I go to the bar first. And I know that sounds silly, but girl, I am not playing. Like I am so nervous, and grabbing a drink and having it in my hand and like sipping and avoiding eye contact, I think has helped me so much. Like I just feel like, okay, I'm like in a room with all these strangers. Like, let me just play it cool and act natural. It feels like when you go to a college party.
You've never told me this before.
Yeah, like having like a White Claw in my hand, like is my safety blanket, and it might be for you too. So
there you go.
You got two solid options.
We just all learned something new about my life. Life from this YouTube show. So before we wrap up, we just want to share a few more networking tips, okay? Now, first is to research some of the speakers who will be at the event and make a list of the ones that you'd maybe like to meet. And you can either come up with maybe a list of questions that you'd like to ask them, or even better, maybe try and identify ways that you can help that person in their own business.
Yeah.
For example, like Derek Acuff, he's speaking at our summit in Austin. He goes by Flipping a House on Instagram, and he's always looking for off-market deals. And I know a lot of his followers are the sources of his off-market deal flow. So if you know a wholesaler, or maybe a realtor in his market, or maybe somehow you have a good deal in that market, that'd be something that's great to share with Derek.
And second, be a good listener and do your best to ask thoughtful questions. There are some people who think networking is trying to speak as much as possible about yourself too, and just filling the air with the sounds of their own voice. And that's seriously like quite opposite. That's not networking. Networking is back and forth dance between you and this other person. So when the other person is speaking, listen, and listen with a purpose.
And last, and this is probably my favorite, is don't talk just about business. I get that it's a real estate event, it's kind of a business event, but it's okay to get personal.
For sure.
Some of the best conversations I've had at real estate conferences had nothing to do with real estate. We talked about family, we talked about failures, we talked about life, we talked about love, we talked about all kinds of things, right? And that's how you really get to know someone. So don't be afraid to get a little bit personal.
And before we go, just a reminder that our next real estate conference, again, the STR Summit, is happening April 10th through the 12th in Austin, Texas. We're so excited.
Yeah. Tickets are on sale right now. And if you use the coupon code YouTube, you'll save $100 off of your ticket.
Last, please connect with us on Instagram. I'm at Sarah Rad. He's at Tony J. Robinson. And if you're on TikTok, be sure to follow us there. We are at The Real Estate Robinsons.
If you have any follow-up questions, just drop a comment below. We'll do our best to answer it. But that's it for today, guys.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we are The Real Estate Robinsons.